Good evening, everyone. Thank you for joining us. This is the Waterloo Architecture Housing webinar. It is the first of its kind, and we're very excited to be able to deliver this content to you today. I'm Carly Bolton. I work at the School of Architecture. My portfolio includes admissions, recruitment, and student engagement. And I'm pleased to be hosting today with my colleague Jessica from Places for Students. Unfortunately, our colleague Sean from off-campus housing was not able to join us today due to a last-minute unforeseen circumstance, and so I'll be delivering his content on his behalf. I'll try my best. So thank you for being here. One quick note is that the slides for this presentation will be sent out next week. So please don't feel the need to spend a lot of time trying to capture everything in taking notes. You'll get access to this information shortly. So we'll start today's session with our land acknowledgement. The University of Waterloo acknowledges that much of our work takes place on the traditional territory of the neutral Anishinaabe and Haudenosaunee peoples. Our main campus is situated on the Haldeman Tract, the land granted to the Six Nations that includes 6 miles on either side of the Grand River. Our active work towards reconciliation takes place across our campuses through research, learning, teaching, and community building, and is coordinated within the Office of Indigenous Relations. My goal whenever I deliver a land acknowledgement is to ground it with the action and connect it to the work that I'm currently doing within the School of Architecture. One of the calls to action in the Truth and Reconciliation Commission of Canada's first report was to improve education attainment levels and success rates for Indigenous folks. Through my work on the admissions committee, I'm actively advocating for architecture to opt into the university's newly adopted holistic admissions approach. Holistic admissions looks at the whole person, not just their grades and scores. I believe that this approach, once implemented, is a small step toward answering this call to action, as it would greatly improve access to higher education for those who are from historically marginalized groups. And in the case of architecture, it would allow perhaps us to expand our catchment of those who are invited to stage 2 of the process if we implement some of the holistic admissions principles. So the agenda for this meeting is first we'll talk about off-campus housing services, as well as a few things that you can keep in mind when you're looking for a rental property here in Cambridge. I will do a slightly shameless plug for our Facebook page, and then Jessica will take over and present Places for Students and all of the services that they offer. So off-campus housing, this is a department that the University of Waterloo has developed in order to support students who are looking for rental properties in the community. They have partnered with Places for Students for the last few years now, and we'll hear a lot more about Places for Students and everything that they do in a little bit when Jessica presents. But we're currently working on getting more listings on our specific Places for Students platform. And off-campus housing, you can reach them at och@uwaterloo.ca, and they really are a resource to help connect you to the appropriate contact for whatever you might be dealing with when it comes to rental property, your search, and securing that property, and what to do if things come up after you have moved in. There's a quick disclaimer that they're not actually a legal service. So if you have a matter that needs legal advice, they will connect you with the right resource. Places for Students. This is a listing service for students and landlords. It is specifically tailored for students to find housing, and there are other tools on there that will help you find a roommate and list your place for a sublet as well, which Jessica will go over in detail shortly. The off-campus housing website has a lot of resources in it, and I'm just going to demonstrate it quickly here for you. So when you first log in and scroll down, you'll find step 1, looking for a place. This is where you will be directed to Places for Students. The other resource that I'd like to show is if you scroll down a little bit under looking for a place, you'll find that this little header will expand if you click on it. And then here is a pretty comprehensive listing of other platforms where you can search for housing. And If you use the Region of Waterloo tip sheet, it also has quite a bit of different options for looking for apartments in Waterloo region. What should you consider when you're searching for housing? The first and most obvious is the location. A lot of our students do secure housing units that are within walking distance to the School of Architecture. As time goes on and the rental market shifts, that can sometimes change a little bit. And we're finding that students are more open to expanding their radius for housing, especially since the university's student fees do include a transit pass in tuition. So your student card will work on all of our public transit systems here in the Waterloo region. And so sometimes students are more willing to rent a unit with access that's close to a bus stop because they have that built into their tuition fee structure. You might want to think about roommates. How many roommates do you want, if any? And if you're searching for roommates, what's important to you when you're looking for someone to share housing with? Do you have a similar lifestyle? You can ask questions like, are you an early riser or do you stay up late? Do you like to keep your place clean or are you more apt to sort of, tidy on a set schedule? Do you like to go out or do you stay in more often? These are the types of questions that you'll see on a residence application form that a typical university residence department would use to pair students together in residence situations. So we do have a tool on Places for Students that will allow you to answer similar questions about yourself that will help you find people who have similar lifestyle habits as you. Then you want to think about cost. What's your budget like when it comes to housing? What sort of amenities are important to you? What is included in the rental price and what would be an additional fee on top of your rent? And then subletting. You want to definitely make sure that you discuss subletting with your landlord, especially if they're requiring a 12-month lease. For first year students at Waterloo, you'll be going to school for 8 months back to back. And then there'll be a 4-month window where you won't be going to school. So a lot of first year students do tend to sublet for that 4-month remaining period from May to August. However, some landlords are willing to provide an 8-month lease. So it just depends on what you find. These are some questions that you might want to keep in mind when you're looking at rental property units. You want to make sure you have your landlord's contact information readily available, and you want to find out where you need to contact if there's an emergency. You want to make sure that the landlord is willing to provide receipts for payment, and they should not be charging you a fee for those receipts. They can give you usually an estimate of the monthly bills if utilities and things like that are not included. A lot of the rental homes that are part of our network are furnished. And the reason for that is because the architecture program after first year very much it's a situation where students are on a study term for 4 months and then in a work term for 4 months, and it flip-flops back and forth like that for most of the program, except for when students will do an 8-month co-op term, a 4-month term in Rome, Italy, and then another 4-month work term where we don't see them in Cambridge for over a year. But other than that chunk of time, the sequence is every 4 months you're moving. And so because of that, our landlords that have been part of our community for a long time have prepared fully furnished places, making it extremely convenient for students to move in and out within a 4-month window. We also do have a service in the Tri-City area, which is called Store Your Dorm, and they do a dormitory storage service for students who have co-op sequence. So you can ask them to come and they'll drop off boxes and you can pack your things, and then they'll store them for you while you're on co-op, and then they'll drop them off at your new house when you get back. Okay, so they are also asking, you would want to ask for laundry facilities and if they're included in the price or if they're coin operated, what type of heat the housing unit uses, and also maybe if it has air conditioning or not. Sometimes a landlord will ask for a guarantor, so that is something that you would want to consider if you do not have one. A lot of landlords are going to require tenants insurance, so you can get that through your insurance provider, and it is highly recommended when you're renting. And then you want to make sure that you have clear understanding of when the landlord intends to enter your unit, how often, that you have an agreement. It should be in the lease about how much notice they'll provide before they enter the unit. And then also, if you can't come in person, you might want to ask them to do a tour virtually with you via Zoom or FaceTime. It doesn't happen very often, but there are instances when, especially students who are not from Ontario, are falling victim to specific scams that are targeting students that are moving from far away with rental property units. So definitely make sure that you're verifying that that rental unit exists and that you're seeing it through Zoom or Teams or FaceTime. Okay, and then you want to also make sure that everything is in writing so you have a record of your conversation. So better to email with your landlord than to call on the phone. So signing a lease. A lease is a binding contract and it can be agreed upon for any length or period. After the initial lease period is over, you're not required to sign another lease and it converts to a month-to-month agreement. You want to make sure that you're carefully reading and understanding the lease, and you want to make sure you have a copy of it. And you want to make sure that you're providing written termination when it's time for you to move out, and that is done in writing. And then also, you may want to make sure that you're asking for clarification for anything on the lease that you're not quite sure about before you sign it, and make sure that that's done in writing as well. The standard lease is what we use here in Ontario. The standard lease is what will apply for most situations. And if you're signing a lease, it must be a standard lease. It shouldn't be anything that deviates from this agreement. Yeah, so you want to make sure that you're clear with your landlord on the things listed here. So make sure that you discuss utilities, cleaning, house rules, respect for personal belongings, and use the roommate agreement template. The roommate agreement template will become available to you when I send the slides later this week. Yeah, so you want to make sure if utilities are included, you want to make sure that that is clear. When I was in first year university, we thought that utilities were included. Our landlord said we could do it either way, and we told him that we wanted them included. But I guess that was a misunderstanding, and the hydro got turned off in December. So we had to pay all the back bills and get that sorted out. So you don't want that to happen to you. Learn from my mistake. Make sure you know what's going on with your utilities. And if you have to, sometimes you have to pay upfront fees when you're arranging those services with the city. So make sure that you have a clear understanding of the requirements and how to do that. Off-campus housing wanted you to know that you can get in touch with them. So whether you're looking for housing questions in general, or if you have specific questions for the services that off-campus housing provides, you can reach them at och@uwaterloo.ca. And if you have general housing questions, you can also email housing@uwaterloo.ca. And they'll definitely help you and support you in the search for the best accommodations. I will pause here to mention that we at the School of Architecture highly recommend that folks secure housing in Cambridge when they're studying here with us, as opposed to moving into the residence on main campus. The reason for that is very simply just the commute becomes burdensome and tiresome, especially for students who are working so very hard in their studies. It is a rigorous academic program here, and adding a 45-minute commute there and back every day can really add to your stress, and as well make you feel a little bit isolated from your cohort, who many students will spend spare time and evenings together here in studio at the school. So you would be missing out on a bit of social time and bonding time with your peers. So highly recommend finding something in Cambridge, and don't recommend living in residence. Okay, the architecture Facebook page. I have to laugh because I know that your generation, obviously you don't use Facebook. I did institute a Discord server last year to be super hip, and it didn't really take off. And the reason why is because This Facebook group, you can see it has 2,000 members. There's a lot of alumni in there, and it's used for more than just housing. So you'll get to know very quickly that the architecture community is a very close-knit, tight community that supports each other in many, many ways throughout your journey here in undergrad and grad studies. And you'll often see on the Facebook group, not just sublet opportunities or rental property roommate opportunities, but you'll see opportunities for co-op jobs as well as leads for apartments in popular co-op destinations. So, a co-op job may pass from an upper year student down to you as well as wherever they were living. So those types of things can really help when you're going to New York or Paris or China. And also there's a lot of events and just the broader architecture community connection that's available through Facebook that I just wasn't able to get off the ground in the new, more hip and stylish platforms. So we're sticking with Facebook. If you need to create a Facebook account to join this group, you're not alone. I think most of our students do that. And so, but it is a nice way for people to connect. And who knows, maybe one day we'll be able to bring our connection into the new frontier of Discord. Okay, and so just one last note here, and hi to the new grad students if you're joining us. For undergrad students, there is an event that is taking place on May 25th here at the School of Architecture in Cambridge. There's no registration required, but if you did register, that's great. People can arrive around 10 a.m. and at 10:15 to 11:15, our upper year students will lead our new students through an icebreaker activity. So this is a really great opportunity for new students to meet each other, make friends, learn who you're going to be in a cohort with, and also get to know the school and our surrounding area a little bit. While you're doing that fun stuff, your parents and supporters that have come with you will be invited to attend a presentation, which will be hosted by Rick Andrighetti and Fiona Lim Tum, who are professors here at the school, and they'll be giving you a lot of information about how to support your student through the transition from high school to university, as well as some overview information about what the program looks like. And then we'll all come together at 11:30 in the main lecture hall and hear from some of our student groups and student life services. So that will be really fun. And then at 12 o'clock, it will be a break for lunch. We'll provide you with a flyer that shows you some of the local restaurants that are walkable. And then from there, you'll be going on your rental property open house tour. So there is a list of curated rental properties. These properties have not been vetted by the school, but we know that students at the University of Waterloo Architecture have lived in these properties for a number of years. And the landlords will be available at those locations from 1 p.m. to 3 p.m. to do tours and hopefully sign a lease. We find oftentimes that students are making friends during the icebreaker activity and they end up signing lease with that person or that group of people that same day. So it's a really great opportunity for those who can make it. If you're from out of province or out of the country, or you're a new grad student, then not to fret. You are not invited to participate in the U at Waterloo Day because it is an undergrad event, but I will be sending you the list of rental properties that the undergrads are going to get. So everybody's going to get the same list of all of those landlords who are advertising their units to the School of Architecture, and you'll be able to contact the owners directly. Most of the units do have photos that you can view, as well as all of the information that's important for the listing. And so everybody will have equal access to the information, even if you can't make it to the in-person event. Okay, and I will now turn it over to Jessica, who will be happy to present her information about places for students.
Amazing. Thank you, Carly. And
You're welcome.
just to lead, I mean, you covered so much material that I would have hit on too. So that's awesome. Thank you for that. Um, Bear with me. I'm going to let everybody know I am a cat mom and they are obsessed with my laptop. So if you see a furry friend in the background, I apologize. And I'm going to share my screen here. So give me just one moment, but thank you for having me. All right, beautiful. So yes, my name is Jessica. Jess, call me Jess, no problem. I'm account executive with Places for Students. We've been partnered with U Waterloo for quite some time. amazing partnership. We love doing things with them. So again, thank you for having me. Carly did touch on, like I said, quite a bit of material that I may have uh, segued off to, but to be honest, it's a great portion to lead into this here, which is really the ins and outs or the need to knows of our platform. So I will start with, oh, give me one moment here. I believe maybe at the end. Yes, sorry, pardon me. I have to backtrack. Okay. So yes, we are an off-campus housing service. We are, like I mentioned, partnered with Waterloo. We love being in that relationship forum with you guys. It's been great. We are essentially, by definition, a listing service, but fear not, that is absolutely the very minimal of I would say, our definition and what we do with our platform. So I'll highlight here some of the benefits for you guys, for the students. For one, we do have multiple resources on our platform. That's why I say we aim and we strive to be more than just a listing service. We do aim and strive to be, and I believe we are the go-to for all things off-campus housing. So one thing, as Carly mentioned, which is not always easy, finding a roommate, we offer that as part of our resources and our services. You can find a roommate or the perfect place near campus, and you can advertise essentially or post a listing, which I will mention. Everything for students is free of yourself. So essentially, vetting or putting out some information about the kind of person or roommate you are, and hopefully you find the perfect match. Like I mentioned, all services are completely free for students. So all the services I will go over are free to use. It is definitely, and I will say, if I had this or knew of this, because it did exist when I was years back a full-time student, it would have saved me a ton of headache. But it is convenient and time saving because you can do everything you probably need to do that's considered off-campus housing or just residing somewhere away from home in general in one place. It's fantastic. There is live student support, toll free, to help with anything that you see and you may have questions about online, which is great. Our admin and customer service team works really hard. We are 9 to 7, Monday to Thursday, Eastern Standard Time, 9 to 5 on Fridays, and even once on the weekends and holidays, we do post our live listings. So we may not be able to answer the phone, but we always take emails and we try to get to those over those weekends and holidays as well. So working around the clock. We use Google Mapping and Google Dynamics, which is huge. It's the best we feel in order to get you the most pertinent and the most accurate information. We have things from and opportunities while you're searching, from being a very quick click of a button or click of a box kind of quick search, to our smart search, which is being as narrow and as detailed to a search as you choose you'd like to be, which is awesome. And I'll show you some of that, or at least speak to it. We have very descriptive listings that come with up to 24 photos for the landlords and property owners that choose to list through our service. Um, we have the ability for them to post floor plans, virtual tours, and we always do, like I mentioned, suggest as much information as you can provide for you guys, for sure. And again, paired with those, like I believe Carly mentioned too, some that may require or choose to have a shorter lease, in terms of it being occasionally, yes, up to the landlord. We do offer a student sublet portfolio, an interesting way of posting essentially yourself a few months off of your lease, or, and we know that that happens. I mean, you want to go home or visit mom and dad, or you're working for the summer, and it may just be a few months, like I said, off the end of your lease. And we offer the service of you being able to post your place, your room, wherever you reside, and try and have some help there. And again, free for students. So I'll touch first on the ability and the ways we offer you, the students, to search for these places. So we do have the map view function for one. Map view is, as I said, through Google. So it's Google Dynamic Maps. And essentially you can choose that option as soon as you hit the first or the forefront of the page, which we call a landing page, and I'll explain after. But you have the choice to search by map view, which essentially gives you a little house. It will show all the listings in the area. So it will show as close or as far away to the campus as you choose to be able to look. I mean, some do drive and some are commuting, and that might be okay to be a few extra kilometers out. But if you're biking, walking, busing, you can see just by the Google map function alone and the map view ability to search just how close each rental is. So it's really cool because it'll place them just a single house. You can just hover over it. You'll be able to, with your mouse, hover over it and get just a brief description and one picture. And you can even just from that ability alone, choose if you'd like to investigate or inquire any further about that specific listing. So that's one way of searching. We do have, and I'll mention the quick search first. The quick search function is another awesome way to keep it quick and easy. You can essentially choose to click from very new listings to one bedroom, two bedroom, apartment, basement, and that will all be on the left side in that little bit grayed out column there. You can select just by that and it will filter through. The sort function, another way of searching, is going to search through and provide you with each property in order by rental rate, lowest to highest. My favorites function will also let you come back to whenever you please by you saving some of those that are your favorites. And as I mentioned, I would come back to Smart Search. This is by far my favorite. I do visit a lot of schools and campuses, our partners. Um, the I joke, and it's great. It's actually the perfect way of explaining it. But some of the students I speak to at off-campus housing events, fairs, and welcome fairs, they say, "Oh my gosh, Jess, like it's great. It's like it's just like shopping online." And essentially, it is. You can be as detailed as you want. So I will tell you, you can jump in and you can click as many or as little filters as you want. So it will start at the top with how new. Do you care if they're new or relevant, as in date or time of the listing? You can choose a window or a margin of your budget. You can also choose by clicking a box whether or not you're bothered or care if the landlord resides, say, on the main floor and you're looking at a basement. You can also search by the a particular distance. So you can put in that margin. You can also pick on the choose to click on the length of the lease. So if you have a duration or another function, a move-in date, you can click on and search by that. And you can add all of these. They can all apply. They're all filters on the same page. And beneath that, you can also choose the type of rental. So whether it does to your preference is a single unit, one bedroom, an apartment, a condo, a basement, anything like that. And also, finally, at the bottom, you'll see if you were to search by the Smart Search, any amenities that you absolutely want to have included. And particularly, I will point out, I love that we have added, not so recent, but perhaps a year or two ago, the ability to click off wheelchair accessible. We know that just by searching, it's hard to come across. But if that is absolutely necessary, which I love is an option, you can click off that, for instance, or any other amenities or choices you choose, and it will give you solely those that apply to the search criteria you've entered. So I love the Smart Search specifically. As I chatted about, which I'll just again show you, this is kind of what the map view would look like. So you'll see the one building will essentially represent your campus in the area that you reside or choose to be looking in around. You can zoom in and you can use those Google dynamic mapping functions as detailed as you choose. But you'll see all the little houses around. There'll be individual listings. So you can click on the house icons, or like I said, just kind of hover over it. And it will give you a brief and one picture summary, essentially, about each property. The listing title, address, and display picture, like I said, are shown in the preview. You can click on that and go further into the inquiry. It'll take you right to the listing. I did discuss the Smart Search. So again, these are all of the options. That essentially, if you can see that, is what your Smart Search page before clicking anything would look like. Like I said, new listings, type of accommodation, the lease period, occupancy date, which some do need immediate, and some maybe looking a little further out. So you have the choice to obviously not go through a ton because you know what we do have a lot of regular landlords and property owners We love vetting for them too, and they're amazing. And some of them, they go so fast. I was a student for almost 7 years. I totally understand, but you can then filter through by your need for occupancy date. Rental rate, like I mentioned, landlord, excuse me, landlord occupied, number of bathrooms, utilities, amenities. You can even search by room. Some know, some of you might know. You have two or three friends or colleagues or co-students you want to reside with, and you can immediately go to a three-bedroom place. Some of the items you might see, just so you're aware, or come across the property listings that are on the landing page. They are extremely detailed. We try and we ask our landlords and property owners to be, for you guys, as detailed as they can. So property descriptions, photos, like I said, they can put up to 24. So you should get quite a bit at the first glance. Um, Amenity and the utility icons will show in each of the listing or the advertisements as well, which is fantastic. Um, Floor plans and virtual tours, if they have them, we encourage them to assign them to the listing as well. If it is a company, say like a property management company or a company that has multi listings, they should also include, and we offer them to include their company logo or live website link. So essentially, it offers you the opportunity, should you choose, to look into more of the property or what they offer. And a distance to campus, like I said, that map will still be there direct to each listing. So it will show. And once you go into the map itself, you can choose to look a little further into distance specifically to driving, biking, walking, whatever you choose. So the mapping functionality is huge. I assume for you guys would be really helpful. As I mentioned, all of the services and resources we do provide on our platform are free to students. So essentially, you can browse, you can quote unquote window shop, but once you decide you'd like to inquire further or message through or use the additional resources I kind of touched on at the beginning, like the roommate finders or the sublet postings, you do have to create an account. And again, free to students, but you will have to create a login, your login and password, and then uh, you can opt in to receive automatic emails, notifications when new listings are posted within your selected criteria, which is awesome too, because I mean, as students, I know we're all doing a million things. I'm sure you are. So you can opt in for that notification as well if you choose. But you can, like I said, browse probably more thoroughly once you've created an account, as well as use all of those resources we offer. So I did touch on this, but using the roommate profiles, you have the ability to upload a photo. I believe the roommate profiles are capable of hosting just one, but you can or cannot. If you choose not to, you don't have to either. But you can use up to 2,000 characters. Include your contact information and links to social media pages if you choose. The ability to specify rental preferences, comparable roommate contact. It is preferable that roommates contact with students directly. This is essentially, and I explain this, and students really get it when I say this, but it's kind of like a social media like advertisement of yourself. You can say as little as or as much as you want. I'm a night owl, or I'm a morning person. I eat out all the time, or I like to cook. There's 2 rooms available, so we could potentially find another. It's really up to you, but it is awesome that these are additional services free to you guys. And we hope that it helps you along the way find a roommate that works for you guys and your style, because we all know different personality types may not work, but sometimes opposites attract. So whatever information you choose to put in to advertise, like I said, essentially yourself, is up to you. And again, the student sublets I touched upon. Again, you can upload a property photo, and I believe again this is just the one, but you can. Detailed property description was the same, up to 2,000 characters. You can include a link to social media pages or contact preferences and roommate preferences if that applies. Specify the utilities and amenities included, especially if you're doing this on the behalf of a landlord you're already close with or have a good rapport with, or if they've asked you to do it for them. But again, up to 2,000 characters, as much or as little information as you choose to provide. But if it is to help you out, And again, sometimes short notice, we suggest putting as much info as you can. So I think I've covered most of it. I'll let you know, again, as I touched on us being by definition a listing service, but that we choose and really take pride in being more than that and being the go-to service for residents, off-campus housing, for all of our students and our partners. We would love for you to connect with us on social media, and there's more to know. You can browse our site freely. There's lots of help there too. Some of the items that Carly mentioned that are super helpful or things to think of are included for you guys on our site. We write blogs. We do our own blogs on topics and need to knows that apply to you guys, the students, but also to our other side of partnership with landlords and property owners. We provide things like move in, move out checklists, how to be a good neighbor, landlord and tenant potential templates. So perhaps if you haven't, because we know, and I was actually the first time I moved out as a student, that was the first time I was a tenant in general, what a lease might look like. So we put templates up there for you guys to see, or for landlords to kind of take a peek at if it's something new to them as well. Um, how to look out for things, and we do our best to help make sure it doesn't happen, but watching for things like scamming and frauding, it does happen. We try to catch all of those things before you would even see it. And my admin team is amazing. They're so good. But we do have to know and tell you guys it does happen. So we suggest ways to look out for it yourself as well. Like I mentioned, those blogs are relevant for student housing info. So you can search by a topic if you choose or by date. I've participated in writing a couple myself. So I really hope they're topics that help you guys, especially during the search, but also if you come across any thing amongst your stay of residing off campus. And those resources I mentioned are always there for you too. So we do have a mobile app right now. There are rental tips, like I mentioned, for student tenants, resources and related services, and a guide for living off campus. I definitely want to be here for you guys. So if you need a hand, I'm always here to help. I'll say also, we're partnered with over 225 schools across North America. So this is definitely a way of life for us. So I will definitely be there, and as well as my customer service admin team along the way, because it's not always easy. We can't, as I mentioned, being partnered with 225 schools in both the US and Canada, go into every location or every listing. But I want you guys to know and feel comfortable with the fact that when an advertisement or a listing comes in from a landlord and property owner from us to put up for you guys live to see, we have to vet for it essentially ourselves. And my team is amazing. So, like I said, we will, before it goes live, make sure that the body or the description matches the photos. There's nothing wonky going on. Of course, it happens, something can be missed, but I take pride in my team. I want to say they work really hard at making sure nothing goes out live to the school or to you guys before we've put at least a check mark on it. So I just wanted to stress that we do our best to make sure you're only getting the best of the best. As I mentioned, our customer service is around 9 to 7 Monday to Thursday, 9 to 5 on Friday, and on weekends by email. And for us to be able to post new listings for you live to get that to you as soon as possible. But we're always there. Like I said, give us a shout if you need a hand, and we'll walk you through the process or help you along the way.
Thank you, Jess. That's
Of course.
amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just want to kind of close out your presentation by saying that the University of Waterloo School of Architecture is really hoping that Places for Students can become the prominent platform for housing search as well as roommate finding and sublet posting. It can become very overwhelming when you're trying to go to all these different places to do those things. And I think focusing everything on one platform can be very helpful for our community. So I do recommend that everybody go in and create your account and at least do your roommate connection profile so that you have that already there. And the more that we can use it, the more that future people will be encouraged to use it. And yeah, so I think that part of this, the reason for this webinar was to introduce everybody to the platform and really try to encourage people to take advantage of those tools.
It's awesome.
Yeah, and I wanted to speak to what's happening in the chat right now. So I did see some questions about graduate students and a server for them. And I do think that generally speaking, every cohort that comes into the university, whether it's our new grad students coming from other schools or our new undergrad students starting, they all find a way to create a community online, whether it's Discord or WhatsApp or whatever the platform may be. The university administration stays out of that because you don't want us meddling in your business, and you're all more likely to use it and connect when we're not big brothering anything. But I did see one of you has volunteered to create something, and so I do appreciate that. I was going to see if an upper year student could do that for you, as we have done for the undergrads, but it seems like you're taking it into your own hands. So very glad to see that.